Hello everybody, my name is Amira McCancy and I am the future author of Literary Libations, What to Drink with What You Read. So because that book is coming out in about a year or so, I thought I would start by introducing you to the concept of literary libations. Essentially the deal is we take famous works of literature and pair them with great drinks. For this introductory video, I have picked one of my favorite books of all time and one of my favorite drinks. CATCH-22. I read this book when I was in 5th grade. I did not understand all the jokes. There's a lot of sex in this book. Went right over my head. But I still fell in love with it. The dark comedy, the war heroes or anti-heroes, everything about this book captured my already existential soul at the age of 10 or 11 when I first read this. CATCH-22 is an amazing book. It's an American classic. It takes place in World War II on the fictitious island of Pianosa, and our hero, or anti-hero, well, let's call him our hero, is Yossarian. The basic premise of CATCH-22 is that if you are crazy enough to want to stay in the war, then you're crazy enough to be grounded and you can get out of the war and be sent back to America. But if you're sane enough to want to get out of the war and asked to be grounded, then obviously you're sane enough to continue to fly and fight. So Yossarian, our hero, is definitely sane enough to want to get out of the war, and he spends every other day trying to get grounded, which of course means that he has to keep flying more missions. So I'm going to read a passage from this book that is one of my favorite passages, and it'll help explain the pairing that I have selected for the book, which, by the way, if you can't tell from the ingredients that I have on the table, we have a little American rye whiskey, we have some simple syrup, an egg hiding behind some maraschino cherries, and a couple fresh lemons. So the drink of the day, the pairing for CATCH-22, is a whiskey sour. So we'll be talking about that more in a minute, and for now, I want to read this passage that explains the inspiration. This this excerpt is from a section where Milo Minderbinder is having a conversation with our hero, Yossarian. Yossarian is a bombardier and a pilot, and Milo is a mess officer who is in charge of the mess hall. He's explaining how he can buy eggs in Malta. Milo Minderbinder can buy eggs in Malta at 7 cents a piece and sell them at a profit for 5 cents a piece in Pianosa. There are lots of things you can do with half a bed sheet, Milo assured him. The remaining quarter of the bed sheet I've set aside for myself as a reward for my enterprise, work, and initiative. It's not for myself, you understand, but for the syndicate. That's something you might do with half the bedsheet. You can leave it in the syndicate and watch it grow. What syndicate? The syndicate I'd like to form someday so that I can give you men the good food you deserve. You want to form a syndicate? Yes, I do. No, a mart. Do you know what a mart is? It's a place where you buy things, isn't it? And sell things, corrected Milo. And sell things. All my life, I've wanted a mart. You can do lots of things if you've got a mart, but you've got to have a mart. You want a mart? And every man will have a share. Yossarian was still puzzled, for it was a business matter, and there was much about business matters that always puzzled him. Let me try to explain it again, Milo offered with growing weariness and exasperation, jerking his thumb towards the thief with the sweet tooth still grinning beside him. I knew he wanted the dates more than the bedsheet. Since he doesn't understand a word of English, I made it a point to conduct the whole transaction in English. Why didn't you just hit him over the head and take the bedsheet away from him? Yossarian asked. Pressing his lips together with dignity, Milo shook his head. That would have been most unjust, he scolded firmly. Force is wrong, and 2 wrongs never make a right. It was much better my way. When I held the dates out to him and reached for the bedsheet, he probably thought I was offering to trade. What were you doing? Actually, I was offering to trade, but since he doesn't understand English, I can always deny it. Suppose he gets angry and wants the dates. "Why, I'll just hit him over the head and take them away from him," Milo answered without hesitation. He looked from Yossarian to McWatt and back again. "I really can't see what everyone is complaining about. We're all much better off than before. Everybody is happy but this thief, and there's no sense worrying about him since he doesn't even speak our language and deserves whatever he gets. Don't you understand?" But Yossarian still didn't understand how Milo could buy eggs in Malta for 7 cents apiece and sell them at a profit in Pianosa for 5 cents. All right, here we go. Now we are going to make our cocktail. So, first thing to know is that for this cocktail, you do not need the entire egg. You only need the egg white. I have already separated the egg yolk from the white. If you don't know how to do that, you need to go watch a different video. So, to start, we are going to build the cocktail in one of these 2 shaker pieces. A whiskey sour, as I like to make it, has 2 parts whiskey, 2 parts lemon juice, fresh lemon juice, and 1 part simple syrup. And then we're going to throw in the egg white, shake it up over ice so that the egg white forms stiff peaks, and we're going to shake it really, really hard, soft peaks, I should say. And then we're going to garnish it with our maraschino cherry. I already have a cocktail glass frosting in the freezer, so you can't see that, but I definitely recommend getting your glass frosted ahead of time. So, let's get started. First, we have our American rye whiskey. This is James Oliver. I have never heard of this person or this distillery, but it's probably awesome. My boyfriend got it, and he has really good taste in booze, so I am going to trust that this is a good drink. So that's our alcohol component. Now we have our fresh lemons. So the ratios that I like to do on this drink, wow, I did not need as much lemon as I thought. The ratios that I like to do, I already said 2, 2, and 1. So what that translates to in cocktail world is 1.5 ounces of whiskey, 1.5 ounces of lemon juice, which means I do not need all this lemon that I thought I needed, and then 3/4 ounce of simple syrup. So now we're going to pour in the egg white. I'm gonna load up a bunch of ice into this glass, and then I'm gonna pop them. So you can see I've really loaded this cup up with ice. That's because we want to keep the mixture as cold as possible to ensure that the ice doesn't melt and we don't get any dilution with water. So now, smack it to make sure there's no leakage. And shake it really, really good. The recommendation is to shake it for 15 seconds or more. And now, here we have our frosted cocktail glass. Put it up here in front. Strainer. Cocktail. And now all we need is to garnish it with a little maraschino cherry. If I can open this jar. There's our maraschino. Get those drops in there. And there's our cocktail. Cheers.